Today we're going to install some under cabinet lighting in my kitchen. I'm going to use this old telephone jack panel and replace it with a power switch. Behind this wall I have a convenient utility closet. I'm going to install a 120 volt power plug and a panel to run the low voltage 12 volt wire from the plug to just below the cabinet. Here's the tools we'll be using today. Got a Phillips head, got some wire strippers, my jam knife, and then a foldable knife. Got a long length of Romex 2-wire Romex. Got the on-off switch that I'll be using in the outlet with the old phone jack, and then a cover for it. We've got a 1-gang old workbox that I'll be using to install our new power supply, and the cover for it. I've got a low voltage old workbox I'll be using to install the in-wall cable access port to run the low voltage wiring through the wall. I've got a little bit of 5 feet of cord hider on-wall cord holding, just wire tubing to cover up exposed wires. We'll need that when we run through the pantry to bridge the cabinets on the refrigerator side and the window side. I have LED strip lights from Olefis. They come in a spindle. They came with a dimmer switch and the power plug. The dimmer switch is removable, and you can drive it just at full power all the time, or with the dimmer switch. I'm going to install the dimmer switch and hide it under the cabinets. So the lights will be switchable on the wall to turn on and off, but also we'll have the control hidden and we can change the brightness when we'd like to. I bought extension wire so I can build patches between different sections of the lights, and then strip connectors to connect the pieces of the lighting to the wiring. The lights came with these clips. There's only 10 of them, and that's inadequate for what I hope to accomplish, so I purchased a bunch of an 80 pack of speaker wire clips that look like they should work. We may need to modify those a little. I'll also need a drill and some drill bits, fish tape, a stud finder, some lighting, dot tape measure, and a pencil. I have a pick as well to help me feel inside the wall. I've removed the telephone jack and pushed the old telephone wires back to the side. I've popped the tabs on the bottom and the top so I can run the Romex through. Using my stud finder, I move to where my 24-inch mark is. It's detecting a stud. Moving back towards my 36-inch mark, a stud as well. That looks like it might work. Using a piece of paper in my old workbox, I'm going to trace out a template. Using my template and my jam knife, I'm going to cut my hole for my game box. I am in luck. Just inside of the hole I cut, I can feel the box that had my telephone jack in it. If I reach the other way, I can feel there's no studs in the way to my electrical outlet, and I can feel the hole that I broke open. Using my Romex wire, I'm going to try and feed it to the outlet. And there it is. I'll feed myself a little more slack, and then I can run the other end through the empty gang box. I want to make sure I have plenty of length for what I need to do, but not so much that I'm having to feed all this unnecessary cabling. I'm going to take my other end, feed it into my box that used to house the telephone terminal, like that. And we can see it came through the bottom. Now I'm going to feed it up through the top and give myself enough slack to tie the hot end onto our switch. Alright, so you see we've got one end with plenty of slack on the outlet. Got it looped through this junction box with a good amount of slack and hook it up to my switch. And when my new outlet's coming, the one that will be switched, I have a good tail on it as well on the other end. So I've got my old work box here. I'm push in the top right, I guess, top right to me relative to where I'm going, and run my wire through there. Run my wire through, and then put my box in the wall. And use the screws to mount it. I'm going to take my knife, take the covering off. White's neutral, black is hot. Expose the wire on my hot side and on my neutral side. I'm going to take my outlet. Brass is hot and the silver is neutral. And we'll hook on our neutral wire. And those all look good. Push them back in our box. And we'll give it our cover. It looks like it's been there all along. You got our switch box. We got this length of cable that we left looped out. Use my knife carefully. We want to leave the neutral wire alone. We're going to leave the ground wire intact and loop it onto the switch. I'm going to cut my hot wire in the middle. This is what we're going to use to run this switch. Take my wire cutters. There we go. And get the other side. That one went no problem. I'm going to add some pliers to the tools list. I'll use those to give myself some hooks to hook the end of these wires. I've got my hot wire separated by this on-off switch. Switch everything back in. And then we'll put the plate over. Finally, we've got the last tail right inside our existing power junction box that we're going to use to pigtail this power off of. neutral. And the hot. First we'll add the ground wire. And we'll insert these into the quick access ports because all the screws are already used up. Now push everything back in. And we'll add the cover. Everything's back installed. It looks clean. We are going to turn the power back on the circuit breaker, and the power is back on. Go ahead and put a little light in here on the outlet that I installed. I'm going to see if the switch turns it on. And it's working. I want to put a hole right in this corner here. I need it big enough to fit through this plug. I'm going to start with a 5/16 drill bit. That's not quite wide enough. I'm going to use the same drill bit. That did it. I'm going to make another template, this time using my low voltage wall plate. I'll go ahead and cut that same hole. It is close, but we need more over here. That looks pretty good. Alright. We've got our wire covering wall plate and our plug. I'm going to go ahead and run this through first. Here it is. A little tug, there it goes. And we got our wire pulled through. I'll just mount our plate. And the last piece. Here's how it looks. I'm gonna put the dimmer switch right here so that it's hidden below the cabinet. I'm going to use one of my speaker cable wire clips, and that did a great job not only of hiding it but of holding it in place. I'm going to use another clip to secure the far end of the wire. Then I'm going to measure out across to the most sensible last lead. These strips have clip points. You can see you clip it in the middle there, and then you can connect the wires. Now I'll use my extension cable and my wire connectors to make a bridge between one section of cabinet and the next. I've attached a little pigtail to the end here. I'm going to drill a little hole right here to push through so I can bridge over to the other side. Alright, moment of truth. Got my first pigtail put together. Let's see. It's going through down to the main strand. And it's a good sign. You can see, here we are, got the second set here. So I've got my extension cable that I put through the hole that I drilled on this side. I've run it and tucked it behind the eave here. I took my microwave loose just a little bit so I could tuck the wire back behind, and it's running over the microwave and tucked again back behind here. I drilled another hole. It sits right behind here. It's coming out the other end. So now I'm going to attach two connectors and then connect this side to the LEDs that I've got so far and add one more strip over here. Alright, we got that wired in and looks good. Now we got to make the big jump. Big jump from here. We're gonna run back there and then go down into the crawl space to jump back up over to this side. It's going to require some fish tape, and I expect some patience and frustration. I want to go in here and run my extension wire down to my crawl space. I know I've got the plumbing right here. It goes into a drain pipe right behind the wall. Down here in the crawl space, there's the drain pipe. It'll be 16 inches over, but there's support bricks, a support beam right where I want to be. What I'm going to try and do is get the fish tape once I have a hole from the crawl space. Alright, so I got fish tape run up in there. I've got plenty of length. I'll see if where I got it through. I stopped counting after about 5 tries, but that took at least 12 attempts. Finally got it. I used 2 clips to hold up the wire, and I'll need to put a third here because it's casting a shadow. So here it is so far. And the wire goes down behind the wall into the crawl space. Now I need to jump it over to this side. I'm going to utilize this, the other side of this wall backs into the garage. I cut a hole in the garage wall, the opposite side with the kitchen where I need to be, right at the floor level, and drilled down and fed the wire from the crawl space up through and dropped a new end down from my cabinet, and I spliced it together, and these are wrapped individually with some heat shrink and then an additional layer of heat shrink over both of them together. From here I'll add some additional insulation in there to make up for the damage I caused, and then I'll patch that hole. And they're patched up. It looks pretty good. I'm going to throw my toolbox back in there. You won't even be able to see it. And there it is. Can't even tell. And there's that section complete. Make sure you order enough connectors before you start your project. Having to do soldering jobs in the middle is no fun. These nice little 2-end splice connectors make the job a lot easier and a lot less stressful. Next I need to jump from the cabinets on the right side through the pantry to the cabinet on the left side. I'm going to be using a cord channel, cord hider by Mono Systems to cover up the wire. First I need to measure and cut it. The pantry was measured 40 3/4 inches, so I made a mark on my cord hider for where I'll need to make a cut. I'm going to use my angled cut pliers. Well, that was no fun. I had to fish those wires a little bit. It wasn't straight through from where I wanted the hole to be in the pantry to where the cover is on the cabinet. But we got it through and it looks clean. You won't even notice it once everything's put back in here. And then with that shelf dropped back down how it's supposed to be, it looks like it belongs there. And here's the final piece. Looks good.